The Chinese government has set itself an extraordinary target. It says it will lift 43 million people out of extreme poverty in just 3 years. The country's president, Xi Jinping, says he recognises the pressing political need to close the gap between China's urban rich and some of its desperately poor rural communities. But some of the obstacles facing remote communities will be challenging, as our Beijing correspondent John Sudworth reports.
It's best not to look down. Step by step and heavily laden, this is the only way to the village at the top. But the 2-hour, 800-metre climb is easier and safer than it used to be. The old homemade wooden ladder, still visible here and there, has been replaced with a spectacular series of steel ladders. Remote mountain communities like these, languishing so far behind China's big cities, now find themselves on the front line of a massive anti-poverty campaign. The improved access to this cliff-top village has won praise from none other than China's President Xi Jinping. But life here remains tough. While President Xi may be promising to lift 43 million people out of this kind of extreme poverty, not everyone's convinced.
We have no income. We are poor. We grow corn and potatoes, nothing else.
The government says that it wants to wipe out poverty in the next 3 years in China. Do you think it's possible?
I don't really think so.
China has a more radical solution, though. In the past 12 months alone, more than 3 million of China's poorest people have been relocated to new homes. A smiling President Xi looks down on the new schoolrooms. This family has now left its remote mountain village for good. You no longer have the open fire, you no longer live close to your animals. Do you miss those things, those traditions?
We don't miss the old way of life or the unhygienic things like having a pigsty right at the door.
Meanwhile, the anti-poverty slogans are everywhere. Even the new ladder is a national news story. This is poverty as propaganda. It's an issue that's now dominating the domestic news agenda, and it's driven by the vision of just one man. President Xi Jinping knows that the continued existence of serious, widespread poverty represents a threat to the very legitimacy of a communist party that came to power promising to help communities like these, not leave them behind. Even if China can help all those living below the extreme poverty line, tens of millions more will be left languishing just above it. But while there are many challenges, no one can doubt the sheer scale of China's ambitions. John Sudworth, BBC News, Sichuan Province.